We're joined by our senior advisor for national security and international affairs, Rick Grinnell, is the former acting director of national intelligence. Rick has been a big proponent of the ACLJ's work on the Freedom of Information Act. And folks, I told Rick, I've said this before here, and you know this. You file 10, one is going to produce. And it's pretty much what it is. And I'll never forget a couple of years ago, we filed one, went to court, and found out that Mahmoud Abbas's son's getting, $1 million a year from the State Department to be whatever he was doing. This is the head of the Palestinian Authority. So you find these things. Well, this one is really shocking because Customs and Border Patrol apprehends 2 terrorists. That's a good thing. Who knows what the numbers have got away? That's the scary part. And they put it up on their website, and then the FBI has them take it down, NDHS, saying, quote, and this is what they said, Rick, the horse is out of the barn. We've got the emails, folks. We've got the correspondence. So this, you were the director of national intelligence. I mean, this southern border being porous like this, I said, instead of 87,000 new IRS agents, give us 32,000 additional Border Patrol agents.
Look, I just tweeted out this article from ACLJ. It's incredible. Congratulations to the entire team for pushing through. Thanks to all of the people that support the work that we do. We've been able to uncover this. Now, look, this is what it means. You have DC bureaucrats who are scrambling to make sure that people are not transparent about what's happening at the border. That's what this is about. We have individuals on the terrorist watch list coming across the southern border. The FBI in San Diego decides this is outrageous. Let's decide to issue a press release to tell people terrorists are coming across the southern border. And what happens? A whole bunch of people in Washington, D.C. say, how dare you be honest with the American people? I can guarantee you this. They used classification to pretend like we can't be honest with the American
Explain
people.
to everybody what that means, Rick, because I think that's really important.
We have a problem in the U.S. government where when you don't want something out in the public, if you are a U.S. agency, you pretend like this is classified information. You classify it and say this is top secret, or this is sensitive information, and therefore it's unreleasable to the public. And that's the game that they play. When they don't want to embarrass their agency, they take the information and they pretend like it's sensitive, secret information. But let's be clear, when 2 people on the terrorist watch list are coming across the border and we have to use resources to grab them because they freely came across the border, that's not sensitive information. That's crucial information for the American public.
You're 100% right. Jordan?
Yeah, I mean, I think what's important here, and as Rick has pointed out too, is that trying to keep this from the American people, but we have a name here. Maria, again, and I think this is very important, Marcia Espinosa, who can be brought before Congress now to have to testify about these emails, because she is on the emails. Even when the other person's redacted, she's not, because she was at CBP at the time. Now, she is the top advisor to Mayorkas at DHS. So she is overseeing all of this. And we see, and I'll go to Rick on this, because Rick, what her major concern was keeping the FBI happy. Instead of treating like a co-equal branch within the executive branch or a different agency, she was very worried they were upsetting the 7th floor.
She was very worried that the FBI in Washington, D.C. would be unhappy because the FBI locals in San Diego were absolutely aware that this was something that needed to be publicized. They signed off on this press release. The FBI officials on the ground, and this is one of the things that I learned as Director of National Intelligence. We have a lot of FBI officials and law enforcement officials who are doing the work on the ground, who are great American heroes who see the problems. In Washington, D.C., the leadership are protecting themselves. They don't want to be embarrassed by what's happening. So they're using classified information, the lack of transparency as excuses to keep the public in the dark about terrorists coming across the border. We should absolutely demand that Marcia Espinosa come to Congress and explain her actions. By the way, when you read these emails, she admits in that email, someone is going to say that I'm trying to silence and cover up and make sure that this information doesn't get out. She knows exactly what she's doing.
Yeah, and it's just exactly what happened.
That's exactly what happened. She absolutely muzzled and stopped that information from coming out.
For a little bit.
Like, for her to say, I don't want to be accused of it, I'm sorry, that's exactly what you did.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and take a call. Warren's calling from Idaho on line 4. Warren, welcome to the broadcast. You're on the air.
Hey, thanks for taking my call, guys. And then listening to this, we've talked before, and so I text my brother. They have a family. We have a family ranch down on the border in southern Arizona. He said in the last 6 months or so, they've seen a lot more illegals. And I asked him if he even had other nationalities. He said, yeah, at the house a while back. They're calling them the international pharmacists.
Well, you know what that's about. And Rick, this is Jordan said it, and it's fentanyl terrorism. And it is a huge problem. It's affecting families all over the country. It's horrific. And it's China. Yeah, go ahead.
As Warren points out, this is a incredible problem at the border. If you have information or people or access to the border, you see the drugs that are pouring across. And this is why terrorists coming across the southern border, drug dealers, drugs themselves, fentanyl from China, all of this needs to be publicized, because then when it's publicized, our local law enforcement agents know what's happening. They can see, wow, we've got terrorists coming across the border. Our elected officials in Washington, D.C. can decide to put more money into it. This is why it's crucial to have transparency about what is happening at the border. But you have people like Marcia Espinosa who are working really hard to make sure that they are not embarrassed in Washington, that the border is wide open, and they're shutting down information. They're bullying the people who want to be transparent. This is an outrage, and we should not let it go. And in our legislator friends in D.C. need to call her in and fix this problem immediately.
It's again, folks, 87,000 IRS agents, $80 billion a year. They want to take that from your taxpayer money to go after you. What they don't want to do is let you know what's happening on the border, which we now uncovered, so that they can protect you. And that's where this reallocation, as Rick says, we go to our friends in Congress and go to work on that. Let's go ahead and take Mike. He's calling from Nevada on line 2.
Hey, I appreciate you taking my call. Sure. My curiosity is, as an American citizen, with the current administration unwilling to uphold the laws of the land at the border, what's my financial and legal position if I become a future victim of one of these acts?
Well, there is litigation. I mean, God forbid that happens. I mean, let's first say that. I mean, terrorism injury litigation is now it's an industry. So but we got to stop it before then, Rick. I mean, that's the whole idea here, is to not have it go to that.
And look, we have to stop it before it gets out of control. It's already really bleeding badly at the border. It's a crisis. But that is why I think if you're listening to this program, you need to recognize that there is something you can do. You can give monthly supports to support to ACLJ, because we are doing the work. And look, I'm not somebody who's out there begging for money. I'm somebody who joined the ACLJ because we're taking action. We can't do this unless we get more support. And when we get support, we're able to hold these bureaucrats to account. Marcia Espinosa is going to be hauled in front of Congress because of people who support the ACLJ, gave enough money so that we could hire lawyers to get to the bottom of this and stay on it. This is a direct result of our supporters. Thank God we have them, and I hope that more people will give so we can continue highlighting these.
Jordan, you're in Washington right now in our office there, and it's both of these offices, Rick said. It's our litigators that got the information. Now it's our government affairs team to go ahead and get this resolved.
Yeah, and that government affairs team plays a key role after our litigators have gotten the initial information. So we have built up these relationships on Capitol Hill over decades where we've got trust with members of Congress, both the Senate and the House. I'm having dinner with a senator tonight, meeting with a senator and a congressman tomorrow on an issue involving life. We are up against multi-million-dollar efforts to shut down the kind of work we're doing, whether it's a pro-life amendment in Ohio, whether it is this issue involving the border and terrorism. But our team here is uniquely able to take our legal work and then, when we're successful, take that to Capitol Hill so that the work is not done when we get the FOIA information from the court. ultimately we get it to Capitol Hill so the investigations begin.
Rick, we appreciate you being with us as always.